Well, a gracious hello to you wherever you happen to be today. I am your host, Mike or Michael. I don't really care which, Hingson, and you are listening to or watching Unstoppable Mindset. Today, we get a chance to chat with someone who, well, you may or may not know who she is. You will probably by the time we're done, because I'm going to give you a clue. Probably one of the most famous lines that she ever spoke was, "Whenever a bell rings, an angel gets its wings." And you are right if you guessed it. You get to meet Zuzu or Karolyn Grimes today. I met Karolyn a few years ago when we were both involved in doing recreations of old radio shows with the radio enthusiasts of Puget Sound. And we have had the opportunity to chat and do things together like other recreations ever since. I'm going to miss, unfortunately, the one in September because I'm going to be off elsewhere in Texas doing a speech, but what do you do? Anyway, Karolyn or Zuzu, whichever you prefer, welcome to Unstoppable Mindset. We're really glad you're here.
I'm so disappointed I don't get to see your dog.
Oh, next time.
Okay.
See, and you know, that's the thing. Karolyn is just like everyone else. It's always all about the dog. Forget me. That's
Well,
okay. It's okay. He loves it.
well, I'm sorry you're not coming because you know what? I really am going to do a fantastic part that I love, and that's playing Loretta Young's part in The Bishop's
The
Wife.
bishop's wife, right?
Yes. And
I
and you're going to miss it.
well, I will probably try to at least listen on the internet and hear it. I think that'll be fun. It's a great part. Well, you were in the bishop's wife originally, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Who did you play?
I played Little Debbie, who was David Nevin and Loretta Young's little girl. And Cary Grant was an angel who came down to straighten my dad out.
And at the end, he straightened him out, but there was never any memory of him being there, was there?
That's right. He was erased.
Yeah. Oh, it's all about doing it and not about him, so it's okay. I think that
Yeah.
I thought Cary Grant did a great job. I really
Oh,
always
it was
enjoyed him.
wonderful.
What,
Wonderful.
what was he like to work with, and what was David Niven like to work with? Much less Loretta Young.
Well, at the beginning of the movie, they told me not to go near David Nevin. Don't bother him. So I never did. And I
Ah,
just had the feeling he didn't like kids or something. I don't know. But Loretta Young was cordial and nice, but she pretty much sat in her chair and studied the script most of the time. So I didn't really get to visit with her all that much.
hmm.
But boy, Cary Grant was hands-on. Oh, he was great. There was a lot of snow in the movie, and there was an ice skating scene, and there was actually an ice rink on our stage. So every day at lunch, he would come and get me, and he'd pull me around on a sled while he practiced his ice skating. And that was so much fun.
Cool. And that was all in Hollywood, right?
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
Hmm. I um I always found it interesting. We went to see the Rockettes a couple of times at Radio City Music Hall in New York, and it was interesting to see their quote ice skating rink, which was a very smooth floor, and and they could raise it and lower it and all sorts of things. It was kind of fascinating to um, actually know about that, and I actually got a chance to go look at it. It was kind of pretty interesting.
Well, can you imagine they actually made a skating rink on the stage? I mean,
Yeah.
to perform miracles.
Well, tell us a little bit about kind of maybe the early Carolyn growing up and how things got started and what you did a little bit.
Well, my mother gave me all kinds of lessons. I was an only child. And so when I was about, I guess, 3, she started me on the piano, the violin, dancing, which never took. singing, and even elocution, diction, everything. I had lessons coming out my eyeballs. And I played the violin and piano.
So
So
did you ever compete with Jack Benny playing the violin?
not hardly.
Just checking.
I did win a scholarship though to go to college on my violin when I was in high school. So, I had played it for a long time, but I didn't play the piano. Just I stuck with the violin and I did singing. I did a lot of vocal stuff when I got older. But when I was little, she gave me all these lessons and I can remember saying, well, I really don't want to go to school today. If I stayed home and I practiced my elocution or I practice this or practice my piano or whatever, well, then could I stay home? And she'd let me stay home
Well,
from school so I would practice.
well,
But I
did you go ahead?
no, that's fine. That's all.
Did you ever ask her or ever learn why she was so adamant that you took all these kinds of lessons when you were young and so on, as opposed to just going to school and so on?
Well, unfortunately, she started getting sick when I was 8 years old. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I was too young to think about asking questions like that.
Yeah.
And then she died when I was 14. So that was kind of the end of my career for sure.
Well, yeah, and sort of it was, but you never really did learn why she was so steadfast in her beliefs that you had to take all of those lessons.
I had no idea because
Yeah.
when she started getting sick, she had early onset Alzheimer's. And so, she wasn't, you couldn't communicate really.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was only when you were old enough that that started. So yeah, you really couldn't get a lot of information and do a lot of communicating. I understand that.
No,
And you didn't have much time after that to really talk to your father about it either.
no, I didn't. He died a year after she did, and I was 15. And the court in Hollywood shipped me to a little town in Missouri. I think there
Mm,
were 700 people in the town or something like that.
yeah.
So it was quite a culture shock, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me, get me out of Hollywood. It was great.
So what did you do then? So you were now 15 and they sent you off to Missouri. Why Missouri?
Well, those were the only people who volunteered to take me.
Mm,
I had a lot of people in LA where I lived who would have taken me, but my father didn't leave a will. So when I asked the judge, I said, do I have any say at all about who I go to live with? And he said, whatever you want is like a drop in the bucket.
mm.
So needless to say, my mean aunt and uncle took me back to Missouri in a little town. But it was, like I say, the best thing that ever happened to me because they're real people. They weren't phony. They were serious and they were loving and kind, and they realized I was in a horrible home situation. So they really, my teachers and merchants, everybody knew, and they really made up for that. They made my life livable, and that I will never forget it, and I will always love that town because of it.
What town was it?
Osceola, Missouri.
Oh, Osceola. Okay, I've heard of
I
it.
think there were 800 people in there or something.
Wow. You said they were your mean aunt and uncle. Why do you call them mean?
Um, my uncle wasn't mean, but he was beaten down by his wife.
Mm,
She would, her best ploy would be to, uh, if I did something wrong, she would punish other people.
oh,
And that was worse than punishing you.
yeah.
So it was very, very hard to not do something wrong because I kind of seemed like I did all the time.
Yeah, you didn't know what the rules were.
No,
Yeah, that made it very tough.
It was
Well,
hard.
so what did you do once you went back there? I assume you went to, you finished school.
Yes, I finished school and then I went to college.
Where did you
And
go?
well, it was called Central Missouri State at that time. And it was the home of the mules. So, and of course, my major was music. So that was what I did mostly with my life. But I ended up going into science and I became a medical technologist.
Uh-huh. Well, the mules. So you majored in music. Did you get any advanced degree or just get a
No,
bachelor's
I did
degree?
not. No,
Okay.
I changed everything and decided that I need to make money instead to survive.
Yeah, you got to do some of that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, you do.
It's one of those things that happens. So what did you do after college?
I got a job working for medical office in this kind of a clinic in Kansas City,
Hmm.
Missouri.
Okay.
And I spent probably, I don't know, 15 years there, maybe more. I don't remember for sure. And that's what I did. Then after that, I retired and raised a bunch of kids.
Well, that's a worthwhile endeavor.
It's stressful.
Well, but as long as they don't call you mean, then that probably counts for something.
Yeah, they didn't call me mean.
Well, there you are. So you did all of your acting and movies and so on kind of at a younger age. You didn't go back into doing any of that?
No, I didn't, but I did get active in the theater scene in the
Ah,
Kansas City area. So I did quite a few plays, and I had a really good time doing that.
okay.
The only problem with that is you have to memorize so much.
Yeah, you can't use cue cards and you can't use a script.
Yeah, yeah. So I tried to work and do that. It's kind of tough, but I did. The last one I did, I think I was 40 something, but it was fun. I loved it.
So what kind of maybe famous plays were you in?
Not famous. They were small ones, and
Oh, okay.
honestly, I can't even remember what they were. It's in my mind. The last one was a musical, and it was kind of a western. I can't remember what it was to save my soul. But that's the privilege of getting old.
Yeah, you never know. You might remember one of these days.
Yeah, oh, I will. I'm sure. Probably about an hour from now.
Yeah. Well, so going back earlier, what was the first movie you were in?
That night with you, and that starred. Oh, see, there goes my mind again. It was an opera singer. I can't think of her. Suzanne York,
Ah, okay.
and it had Irene Ryan, who was in the Hillbillies. She was a maid, and it was a Christmas scene, or it was a section of the movie where I was one of 5 orphans that were sent. This opera singer wanted us to give us a Christmas night. We were from an orphanage, and so she had us come. We were going to spend the night, and she had presents for us and all that sort of thing. And the first thing I did was break an ornament on the Christmas tree.
Oh dear.
So the kids got mad at me because they knew that we were going to be sent back to the orphanage because I broke an ornament. But anyway, in the end, she held me on her lap and sang a lullaby to me, and I will always remember that.
Oh. Yeah, you mentioned Irene Ryan, Granny, which was
Yep, she was in it. She played a maid.
what a character she was.
Yes, she was indeed.
Yeah. And then what did you do after that movie? How old were
Uh,
you for that movie?
I was 4.
You were 4. So you do remember it, sort of at
Oh yeah, I
least.
remember
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I just don't remember names particularly. I mean,
Yeah, but you
what's
were
really funny about it that there was one agent pretty much that had all the kids in her stable that worked in the movies. Back then, it was an easy thing. And she had Jimmy Hawkins, who was Tommy in It's a Wonderful Life. And she also had his older brother. And his older brother was in that particular movie with me. So it was kind of a family affair. Every time you went to an audition or an interview, you saw the same kids over and over.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Well, how did you end up then being in It's a Wonderful Life? What did they
Nothing special.
think and decide that you were the person for it?
Well, nothing really special. I went on the interview. Back in the day, they didn't have what they do today. They had interviews where you went and you had a one-on-one situation. Maybe 5 or 6 of us girls would go to the interview. And then they'd bring another batch in, and that's kind of how it went. And most of us, as I say, had the same agent. So my mother took me to the interview and it's not like an audition, it's an interview. And you actually go in and talk to the casting director and, do what they tell you to do. So in this particular interview, there was a little girl who accidentally spilled some coffee on my dress, her mother's coffee on my dress, because back then we all wore dresses.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't think a thing about it. Didn't bother me to have a dirty dress. I went in and did my interview. When I went in there, Frank Capra was in there.
Ah.
And he interviewed and cast every single person in that film, even the extras. That's how precise he was. But I went in there and I remember he asked me how I would look, how I would act if I lost my dog and he died. I gave him my spiel, all with a dirty dress, but didn't bother me a bit. Came out, and then when we were leaving, I heard my mother mention to one of the other mothers that she felt like that girl's mother had her spill it on purpose, so that it would intimidate me. But I didn't know it. I didn't realize it, and didn't bother me a bit.
What did you say when Frank Capra asked you that question? Do you remember?
Well, I didn't say anything. I just looked.
No, I mean about the dog.
Well, I just looked. I just,
yeah,
squeezed up, and kind of teared, and was unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
That was, there was no line involved. It was just that.
Well,
I'm sure he asked me other lines, but I don't remember. I just remember that.
So what was he like to work with?
He was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. He would get down on his knees so that he could communicate with those kids on our level. And I thought that was really great. And I'm sure he got a lot more out of us by doing that rather than looking down on us and telling us what he wanted us to do.
He made you feel like a part of it all.
Yes, he did. He gave us a lot of power that way.
Yeah. And what was it like working with Jimmy Stewart and Donna Reed?
Well, I didn't have any scenes with Donna Reed except at the end of the movie.
That's true.
I didn't have any interaction with her. I had no lines. I don't even remember Donna Reed, but he was my focal point. Jimmy Stewart was fabulous. He was kind, considerate, and I fluffed a line in the pedal scene, and he said, that's all right, Karolyn, you'll get it right next time. And I did. And it was things like that, that made a difference between if you messed up a line where they would get aggravated with you. And then you'd probably mess it up again, But he did the right thing. He made me not feel bad about it and encouraged me to do it again.
It's interesting, and it's a great lesson to to point out that when people help empower and they aren't negative and are encouraging, no matter what you're doing, that counts for a lot. And I find that when I encounter people who just decide they're going to be mean because they got to boss you around and do all sorts of obnoxious things to try to intimidate you and so on, in the long run, that is just so unproductive, it seems to me.
Yes, I agree. I don't see what it accomplishes.
Yeah. So I can appreciate what you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense. Well, I'm glad, and I always thought that Jimmy Stewart was that kind of a person. Both he and Cary Grant both seemed sensitive, really concerned about people succeeding. They weren't jerks.
No, they weren't. And caught up with him later in life. Um, he was getting calls from a lot of people about whatever happened to that little girl.
Ah,
And so he had one of his secretaries call me and find me, and he called me, and we had a chat. And here I am in Missouri. He's in Hollywood. That was pretty cool when you're 40 years old. And when that was the first year I ever saw the movie after I talked to him. So that was kind of how it went. But then after that, I met him in New York at a function, and we spent some time together. And he was delightful, so kind, so generous.
I remember when I first saw part of It's a Wonderful Life. It was back in the day when there was regular television, and then there was UHF, which was everything above basically channel 13, and you had to have special, at that time, receivers to receive it. And one day um, I just come home from high school from classes, and I turned on the television, and it was a UHF channel, and I started scrolling across, and all of a sudden I heard Jimmy Stewart's voice, and I went, "What's that?" And it took me a couple of minutes of listening to it to figure out what the movie was, because I had heard about it enough that I figured it out. But I listened to about half the movie, and then later I found the whole movie and watched it. And of course, also since then, I have had the opportunity to listen to radio broadcasts of it, like Lux Radio Theater and so on, where they did it.
Yeah.
But I remember it well.
Yes,
So, did you do much of anything in radio then?
not really.
Not really.
I can remember being on the radio for the opening night of The Bishop's Wife.
Mm.
And that was really exciting.
It's a lot of interesting movies back then. It's a Wonderful Life, The Bishop's Wife. In 1947, also there was Miracle on 34th Street that people thought was never going to go anywhere. And
Still
all three.
alive today.
I'm sorry.
Still alive today.
It is, and it's a classic. All three of them are classics, and should be.
Right.
So, what did you do after The Bishop's Wife from movie standpoint?
I think I really don't remember exactly, but I did some movies that were westerns, and I really liked those. They were really fun. I did Rio Grande with John Wayne,
Maureen
Albuquerque,
O'Hara. Yeah.
Randolph Scott, and I did Honey Child with Judy Canova.
I'll bet that was a hoot.
It was a hoot.
What was Judy Canova like?
Well, she was really nice. I played her niece and I lived with her, and she was very nice. At this particular movie, her mother had just died, and so she was kind of not all happy herself. Still mourning, but she was very nice and considerate, and she's the one that sang, "I'll be coming around the corner when I come."
Yeah.
She'll be coming around the corner when she comes. That was what I always remembered her for.
Yeah. Oh, she was always quite the character.
Oh, she was. And she had that voice that
Yeah.
was unusual.
So what did you do? What was your role in Rio Grande with John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara?
I was the school teacher's daughter, and we lived on a fort. We were in Moab, Utah to film it.
Yeah.
We lived on a fort, and my uncle was Victor McLaughlin. And
Okay.
so the Indians came and raided us, and they saved us and put us in a wagon to send us off to be safe. But the Indians got us and killed my mom and put us in the top of a chapel, a church.
Mm.
And that's where we were. And so the three of the people, I can't think of their names again. Woof. That's a problem for me, names. But I'll think of them eventually. They rescued us kids, and Victor McLaughlin came to get me when the cavalry had gotten there, and I'm on a kind of a platform, ringing the bell. I was ringing a bell throughout this movie, and I hit a bell. I hit Harry Carey Jr. over the head with a bell.
Oh.
I always had a bell. So I'm ringing this giant bell to say it's okay for the cavalry to come in. And Victor McLaughlin had to pull me off the platform and get me out the door and into a wagon to be rescued because all his kids were being rescued.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he pulled me off that platform, I had this little dress on, and I got a big bad splinter in my bottom.
Oh, gosh.
It was horrible. It hurt so bad.
I was going to say, I bet it did.
You can never show anything like that. So I did not show it. I just jumped off into his arms, and that was it.
Well, I would presume they eventually got the splinter out.
Oh, my mom did.
Yeah.
Those things happen.
So what was it like working with John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara? What characters they are.
Oh, yeah. Well, John Wayne was just a booming voice, and
Yeah.
he was a huge figure. I didn't really have any relationship with him, but I had a birthday, the 4th of July while I was there.
Ah.
And the Korean conflict had just broken out. It was 1950.
Mm-hmm.
And the government had commandeered airplanes. So John Wayne managed to have an airplane bring in a bunch of supplies, and one of them was a big giant birthday cake for me.
Oh.
And a bunch of fireworks. He had $300 worth of fireworks. And so he threw me a party out on the Colorado River Bluffs, and we had a blast. It was really so fun. He said, "Happy birthday, little Miss Karolyn." And Pat Wayne, his son, who's my age, was out there too. He and Michael were on school break for summer, and so they were part of the film. He was my age, so we hung around a lot. We were kind of upset because all we got to do with all those fireworks, two little sparklers.
What was Maureen O'Hara like?
I guess maybe she and Mr. Ford didn't get along very well.
Mm.
And she had a temper. He had a temper.
An Irish temper, yes.
Yes, and I saw a lot of that. And one particular time, they had a limo that would take us from the motel to the set, which was on the Colorado River, and it was on this person's ranch. So we'd go down this terribly dangerous road to go to his ranch. At least it was dangerous to me. I was scared that we were going to fall in the river.
River, yeah.
Because it was right on the edge. But she was angry, and we were in this limo, and she was with her hairdresser. And they were in the front row, and my mother and I were in the back of the limo. And she was cursing and carrying on about Mr. Ford. And I didn't pay any attention to it. And so her hairdresser said, Miss O'Hara, there's a little girl in the back. And so she just kept right on going. But when she said that, I started paying attention to what she was saying. And it was just a string of curses. It was so bad. She was so angry, and it was so funny. So it didn't bother her to swear in front of the little child.
Just think of how much language and how much elocution you learned, huh?
Oh, I did, because I wasn't
yeah.
paying attention until she said that. Then I listened.
Just rounded out your vocabulary.
Oh, yes. I'd never heard words like that.
And probably never did again.
No.
Other than the ones you used, but but still. That's pretty cool though. So, did you ever have any kind of an opportunity to reunite and be with all of the Bailey family again from the movie?
Yes, in 1993 or 4.
Wow. Almost.
It was quite a while.
60 years later.
Yeah. I had already been in contact with little Tommy. We've been conversing on the phone for about 5 years. But the Target tour had It's a Wonderful Life as a sort of a theme in their stores that year. And so they thought it would be a good ploy to have a reunion with the Bailey kids. So they brought us all together and put us on a tour. And that was when we all met up again, and I was so excited to do it. And that's the first time I actually saw people's response to this movie. We were in an autograph line at some of the Targets that we went to, and people would come through the line and they'd share their stories about how the movie had affected their lives. And I was so impressed. I just couldn't forget it. And so from that time forward, I became very enamored of sharing the messages with other people. And I started doing various appearances and things like that.
Yeah. So what other kinds of appearances have you done?
Oh my goodness, I couldn't even begin to tell you.
Lots, huh? Well, that's good.
All different kinds. I mean, all different kinds.
Have you had, go ahead.
All kinds of things.
Have you had any, or any significant number of appearances and interviews on television over the years?
No. Just interviews. Lots of interviews.
Live interviews, yeah.
Yes. That's all. Never involved with anything again, but
yeah.
I think I might do something kind of fun in September.
March, or in Washington?
No.
Oh, what?
In Ireland.
In Ireland? Begosh and Begorra.
Yes.
What are you going to do?
They're filming a movie about Jimmy Stewart.
Oh.
And they want me to do a cameo.
Well, cool.
Isn't that fun?
That'll be exciting.
Yes. I'm real excited.
Wow. So long later. Well, I've seen, of course, movies with Jimmy Stewart, and I remember seeing him once on the Tonight Show later in the period of the Tonight Show and so on. And I'm not sure how long after that he passed, but I remember his appearance, which was kind of fun.
Did you happened to hear him when he did the poem about his dog Bo.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. That's the one I saw.
That was so tender and
Yeah.
so true. It was just really something.
And the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson was such a wonderful show. I watch reruns of it regularly on some of the channels, and I just think that it's so much more fun than a lot of what we see in late night TV today. I do miss Johnny Carson.
Yes, he
Did you
was.
ever did you ever meet him?
No, I didn't.
Mm.
No, I didn't.
Well, still, I remember old Bo.
Yeah, he's still up there. He was a wonderful man.
Yeah.
They did a special thing in 1980, no, 1990 it was. They had a special event that was honoring him and all the people that he worked with, like
Mm.
Judy Allison, all the stars that he worked with. And so he invited me to come. So I went to New York and I just had a really wonderful time. I got to meet his wife, and it was just good old fun just to see him again because he was just such a down to earth man.
Yeah.
And he just was so kind and so generous that it was a real exciting moment for me, that's for sure.
I watch him occasionally now um, because he is regular, not regularly, but he's often on the Jack Benny show, and the Jack Benny show is being run on on some of the TV stations, and so it's kind of fun to see the byplay between he and his wife and Jack Benny. And of course, Jack Benny, it's the traditional Jack Benny image, but the shows are so much fun.
Yes.
And clearly, Jimmy Stewart, well, all of them have a lot of fun doing those shows.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah. Those old radio shows were so great. I really enjoyed them back in the day.
Well, and I find that when people really enjoy what they do, and you see that come out in even on some of the earlier television shows with the radio shows, it makes such a difference because you can feel the energy that's coming from people.
You do. You really do. Mhm.
And if people don't enjoy what they're doing, that comes through, and you can tell. So it's fun when people really enjoy it. Well, how did you get involved with the Marshfield Cherry Blossom Festival? You've been doing that for a while.
Yeah, a lot of years.
More than I.
True. Well, Nicholas called me. He runs the festival.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you what year it was, but it probably was early 80s, maybe.
Wow.
No, wouldn't have been early 80s. Sorry. No.
Okay.
Probably mm, early 2000.
Okay.
And he called me and asked me if I would come down and be in the festival.
Mm.
So I said, okay. And so we flew back and went to the festival, and it was Dean Martin's daughter was there,
Mm.
and one of the Munchkins was there. Can't think of his name. One lived in St. Louis. Character. He was there. There were a couple of other people that were there. Old stars, and it rained. It snowed.
Gosh.
And it was awful. It sleeted. It was just really bad. So there wasn't much of a turnout. And it was kind of a disappointment to Nicholas, I think, because since then they've changed the date. So it's a little later in the year. And
Yeah.
so, kind of count on the weather being a little better. But then I didn't come back for about 2 years. And then he called me again. And from that time forward, I went back every year. And one of the special things that happened by being there was that the lady who played Violet Bick, young Violet Bick, gosh, I can't think of her name. Well, I'm really bad with names today.
Yeah.
Well, she was a psychologist, and for the last, I guess, maybe 8 years before I met her, Jimmy Hawkins, the littlest boy in the movie, and myself had tried to get her involved with the film and what the things that we did for the film. And she wouldn't have anything to do with it because she thought it was Hollywood and she didn't believe in that and blah, blah, blah. And this was the only movie she did. So someone by the name of Nicholas convinced her to come that year. So she came, and her son brought her. And when she saw how much that movie is loved and how it had affected so many people and their stories, she got the firsthand view of that. That was then for her. She decided she wanted to be a part of It's a Wonderful Life from then on. And
did they show the movie that year at the festival?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, she just came.
Yeah, and so many people just talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She finally realized that people really loved the movie. Of course, she saw it after that because after that little appearance, I said, "You're coming to Seneca Falls." That was, I won't take no for an answer. So her son brought her every year after that. And of course, we saw the movie then. And she had experienced the real love that the people had for the film and for the characters in the film.
What was it like being around and working with Lionel Barrymore?
Well, I really wasn't around him very much. We had cast pictures sometimes, and he was really in a wheelchair. He had crippling arthritis. It's terrible. His hands are all gnarled. And I really didn't talk to him or have any interaction with him. I might have been in scene with him, or we've done publicity photos with him, but I don't remember ever interacting with him.
With him that much, yeah.
But he wasn't scary.
Yeah, well, that's a start.
In the movie.
Not like Maureen O'Hara, huh?
No. And they had a cast party at the end of the movie. Most movies, after they're finished, have a cast party. This one was celebrating the end of It's a Wonderful Life. And so he came, and I got to talk to him without, he had a skull cap on, and it raised his forehead about 2 inches, so that he had real elongated, big forehead, and it took more hair off his head, so he looked meaner. That was the idea. And so he didn't have that on. He just looked like a normal man and everything, and he didn't look mean. And so I chatted with him, and he was fine. He was really a nice guy.
Again, it's one of those things where he was perfect for that part, though.
Oh, yes, he was perfect. Yeah.
It was fun. And I think at the time when I first saw the movie, I didn't even know that he was the person who played Mr. Potter. But I didn't realize that because I was young enough that I hadn't really learned about different characters and different actors, but I figured it out soon enough.
Yeah.
So tell me about Zuzu House back there.
Well, one night I was riding in a limo, and it was during the Christmas season. I was somewhere in New York, and I can't remember where, but I was doing a gig, and Nicholas called me, and I'll always remember it because I was sitting in this limo, and he said, "Karolyn, I just discovered there are people in this community, and this is a very small town. Well, it's a small town. And there are young people who don't have a place to sleep. They're sleeping on park benches. There's this couch surfing and all this. He said, I had no idea this was going on. I want us to start a house and make it possible for them to have shelter. And so he said, the reason I'm calling you is because I want to know if it's all right if I name it the Zuzu House.
Oh,
So I said, well, of course, go right ahead. So from then on, I became active with the Zuzu House and their foundation and their situation and all that they do. Unfortunately, COVID happened
yeah.
right after that, and it made it really hard to get, materials, building materials and things like that we needed to finish it. So it took a long time to finish the house, but it's finished now, and it's a refuge for women from mean men, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So I'm proud to be part of it. And they did such a fabulous job. It's a great, wonderful, beautiful facility. And it's way out in the country. And it's really a place where they can get their marbles all in the sack again.
How far is it from Marshfield? I didn't get to go there when I was there last year.
My guess is about 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, now the other question I would ask is, as you pointed out, the reason that the women are there. So do you go and teach them elocution like how Maureen O'Hara talks so that they can start to beat up on men? Yeah, I'm just saying, help them out,
Yeah, I learned a lot there.
But yeah, that's really cool that you do that. Well, tell me about Seneca Falls, or should we say Bedford Falls, and what goes on there, and
Yes.
what you do, and so on. I'll always think of it as Bedford Falls, but
I know. Most people do.
as opposed to Potter's Field, but
Yeah, right. Let's see, this is my 23rd year. So 23 years ago, God, I can't believe it's that long. I knew a cameraman on the Oprah show. He's a very good friend of mine. And so it was September, and he called me and he said, oh my God, Karolyn, this is it. This is the town. You've got to come here. You've got to come. He says, I'm going to go talk to somebody. And that was the last I heard. But he talked to somebody, the right person who knew what it was about and saw the possibilities. And so her name was Mo Cock at the time. Her name is Young now, Mo Young. But she went to the Historical Society and got funding and turned it around real fast so that they could create an event for me to come and appear. So I did, and I landed in Rochester, I believe it was, drove to Seneca Falls, and it was snowing, and there was no one on the streets. There was no one around. And she drove up to the main street and opened the car door, and we just walked down Main Street. The bridge was there. It was all lit up. There were
I was going to ask, yeah.
Lit up on each lamp post. And it was the most wonderful experience because I really felt like this was the place. If Frank Capra wanted to see a place that would inspire him to build Bedford Falls, this would be the place to come. And I was so impressed, and I just loved it. So I came back every year after that.
Yeah.
And then I started inviting other people like Jimmy Hawkins and Jamie, Carol Coombs, who played Janie, and other people. And so it was a very neat event. And I even invited the babies who played Larry, the oldest boy in the movie. You know, they have to have twins to play babies because they can't be under the lights so long. So they rotate them. And so that was really kind of incredible too. Now it's a huge affair.
And it never had anything to do with the movie originally, right?
We're not sure.
Oh,
I actually think that Frank Capra had an aunt in Aurora, which is south of that town, and there's a barber there that he swears that he cut Capra's hair.
hmm.
And when I first started going there, 20 years ago, he was still alive. So I talked to him and I said, "Do you really think that was Frank Capra?" And he said, "Yes, I do. I really do." And he said, "You know, I cut his hair and I will always remember. We chatted." And he said, he was from Sicily and I was from Sicily too. So we had a lot in common. And he said his last name was Capra and it means goat in Italian. And Tommy's name, the barber's name is Bellissimo, which means beautiful. So he said, "I always remember cutting the goat's hair." And
Wow.
I saw 3 weeks later in a newspaper, there was an article about him going to make the movie It's a Wonderful Life. And so he said, I knew that was who he was.
Yeah. So he had clearly been there, and
He had,
the imagery made such an impression on him.
and also on the bridge, um, there's a plaque, and he would have seen this, and it was for a young Italian immigrant. And of course, you know, Capra was strong Italian. And this young Italian immigrant didn't know how to swim, but he jumped in the canal to save the life of a wasp woman who was committing suicide. And he made her get out of the water. She got out of the water safely, and he died. He didn't know how to swim. So it was a huge thing back then, and it brought the community together. You know, there was the Italian side and the other side, and this brought everybody together. And it turned out that they brought the whole family, his whole family, over because they were, you know, wanted to do something because they appreciated what he'd done so much to save that woman's life. And so I think Capra would have seen that and that plaque, and he would have learned the story. And maybe that gave him some ideas about It's a Wonderful Life. Oops, I can't hear you.
I don't know a lot about Frank Capra, but um, it's fascinating to hear the stories that you're telling, because it certainly portrays him as a not only a caring person, but a person who pays attention to a lot of detail. The very fact
Yeah.
that he was in that town and all the imagery and all the things that he brought to it had to be very relevant.
Well, all the names of the streets in the town are in the movie, or, you know, quite a few of them.
Yeah.
And the main street had a part of it at that time that had trees down the middle of it. And there's just so many things in the town that are applicable to the film. And I used to know tons more when I was trying to convince everybody that this was the place. But now I don't have to remember those anymore because people already know. There are thousands and thousands of people that go through the town and feel the magic that now then the gift shop is making it possible for people to remember their loved ones by putting bells on the bridge. And it's really, become something. And the museum, which I helped start, is really a cool museum, but they are getting a new museum, which is going to be much larger because they can't even begin to display all the things they have.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting how all of this has come up, but none of the filming of the movie was done there. It was all in Hollywood, right?
Oh, yes. Mhm.
But still, the imagery and the vision that people had that brought you and everyone together to create that celebration is certainly great for the town. I love that. One of these days, I'm just going to have to show up. It's a Christmas event every year, right?
Yes. Mhm. Yeah. There's a 5K run, and they start on the bridge. And there's a few serious people in the beginning, some fellas and gals that want to win. But after that, let me tell you, it's fun. There are people dressed like Christmas trees. They got lights all over themselves. They light up their dogs, their babies, their strollers, and they're all in this run. And it's 5 miles. And at some of they go through the residential district, and at some of the houses, they have little booths out in front of the house.
Ah,
Give them a little bit of hot toddy and so forth to get them on the way.
yeah. In Christmas time, I would think
Yes,
so.
it's just a lot of fun and people love it. And I always start it. Every time they have it, I've always started it. So that's kind of a tradition.
So you have done some cameos like Gremlins and Christmas Vacation, right?
Well, yeah.
Cameo appearances.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, it was just, the movie. They showed the movie.
Yeah.
So that was all it was. Just they showed the movie just like they showed it in Christmas Vacation. And somehow when they show the movie, it's always when Zuzu is saying that line.
Oh, okay. So it's not so much you as it is the original
No,
little
it's just a
Zuzu.
movie. Yeah.
It's little Zuzu. Well, but it's a great line. I mean,
Well, it is. I
Uh,
believe it.
I remember last year, wasn't it? I think at the Reps event, we'll get to that in a sec, but I remember um, getting some bells from you. And I think I told you I was going to send one to my cousin and I let you say hello to her. And she got that bell and was completely blown away. She loves it.
Oh, good.
And I have my bell sitting out in open plain sight for the world to see. And I go by and ring it every so often.
Oh, great. It's
Yeah,
great.
well, we got to help those angels out. So what kind of events and things do you do typically, or do you like to enjoy doing at Christmas?
I kind of work during Christmas. Well, that's my season, and so I do gift shows, I do appearances, I introduce the movie, I'm on the road the whole time. And I love it because I interact with these wonderful people who love the movie. And if they love the movie, believe me, they are wonderful people.
Yeah, undoubtedly so. Well, so you also have been involved with some of the radio recreations from Reps, and what do you think about that? How do you like that?
Oh my goodness, it's so much fun. And I'm old enough to remember.
Oh, yeah, a lot of the shows.
Oh, I remember very well. And, it was just a whole bunch of fun to do that and recreate these scenes from old radio days. I remember my mother and father bought a brand new Fraser. It's a car, and I'm
Yeah.
sure nobody's ever heard of Kaiser Fraser cars. because that was the ugliest damn car I've
Yeah.
ever in my life. But they had to have that car. And I remember when we got the car, my dad was offered he could either have a heater and he could afford to pay for either a heater or a radio.
Ah,
And he chose the radio. So I heard Inner Sanctum. I heard all these wonderful, wonderful plays back in the day, all these shows from the radio.
I came in near the so-called traditional end of radio, probably actually 1957. So I had 5 years, but um, almost from the beginning, I always wanted to collect more of the shows and did, and then also did a radio program for 6.5, almost 7 years at the campus radio station where I worked, KUCI. And we did radio every Sunday night. So I had 3 hours of radio. As I love to tell people, I heard about this show on television called 60 Minutes, um, but my show was opposite Mike Wallace, and
Oh,
mine went for 3 hours and his was only an hour.
oh,
Um, but it was like 7 years before I got to watch 60 Minutes and learn about it because we had shows every year, or every Sunday night, and we had a deputy sheriff who called from the Orange County Jail once to tell me. He said, you guys have created a real challenge for us because he said so many people have heard about what you do. A lot of our inmates that on Sunday nights we have to split the jail and send half the people upstairs where there's enough radio reception that they can listen to your show, and the other half listens to and watches 60 Minutes, which I always thought was kind of cute.
I guess so.
So you do a podcast now too, don't you?
I do. I
Tell
do.
us
My
tell us
husband,
about that. I know
Chris and
I
I
was
do
on
it.
it.
Yeah. Chris and I do it. He's a psychologist, and we interview all kinds of people, in all walks of life.
Yeah. How long has it been running now?
This is second year.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Chris hasn't said a single word during this whole thing.
Oh, he's not here.
What good is he?
Yeah, right.
Well, so, can you believe it? We've been doing this an hour.
Oh, really? I did not know.
I'm telling you, time flies when you're having fun. Is
Yeah.
there kind of anything that you want to talk about that maybe we haven't yet? Any last questions or thoughts that you have that you want to bring up?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered it pretty good.
We've 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 done a lot, but it's really wonderful to have you on. If people want to reach out to you, how do they do that?
They can reach me at Karolyn, Karolyn .Wilkerson, WILKERSON @gmail.com.
Okay. Well, hopefully people will reach out, and if they want
I
to.
also have a website,
I was going to ask you that.
Zuzu.net.
Well, you can't do better than that. And what's the podcast called?
See, this is the thing with names. There it goes again. You'd think I'd know. Oh my goodness, I can't remember. Oh, tell you, I'm getting old. It's getting worse and worse.
All Grown Up is the podcast.
Zuzu All Grown Up.
Zuzu All Grown Up.
Oh, Carol.
Well, there you go. Well, yeah, and I enjoyed being on it. Well, I'm sorry we're going to miss seeing you at Reps because I won't be able to be there. I had told Walden, and Walden's actually been on Unstoppable Mindset now a couple of times, but I had told him, he and I had talked about me doing Richard Diamond Private Detective and actually playing Richard Diamond. And I said I want Karolyn to play Helen Asher. So we'll now have to postpone that till next year, but we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Richard Diamond has always been kind of really my favorite radio show, and I think I can carry off that voice pretty well. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, it will.
Well, I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank all of you for listening to us today, reminisce and talk about all sorts of stuff. Would love to hear your thoughts. Please feel free to email me at michaelhimalhi at accessibe.com. And of course, wherever you're observing the podcast today, I hope that you'll give us a 5-star rating. Karolyn deserves a 5-star rating, even if you don't think I do. Do it for Karolyn. We love to have great reviews. We appreciate it. And Karolyn, for you and everyone out there who is listening and watching, if you know anyone else who ought to be a guest on Unstoppable Mindset, we'd love it if you'd reach out and let us know. Give us an introduction. I think everyone has a story to tell, and I enjoy getting the opportunity to visit with people and hear stories. So please, if you have any thoughts, introduce us. We'd love to meet other people. But again, Karolyn, I really appreciate you being here, and I want to thank you for being with us today.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here.